So for step 34, the damper oil, well, we're now going to grab the dampers we just built in the previous step and we're going to add the oil. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Now the one interesting thing is you'll notice that the oil that this came with is red. A lot of the times the kits come with the yellow oil, which I have one here. A lot of them, like even the buggies, etc. So this kit is coming with the red oil. Now if you take a look at the different damper oils that Tamiya has, we have three options of a soft set, which the yellow, which I've just shown you, but this is red. So this is the softest oil that Tamiya offers. The rest you can see medium and hard, etc. Now I think I can understand why, because with this being a trail truck, climber, whatever you want to call it, it probably needs the softer oil so that the suspension is easy to move up and down. There's some suspensions that are so hard that, you know, if the car gets up sideways or you've got, you know, the car's, the wheels lifting on one end versus the other, if it's too hard, the wheel's actually going to come up. You want all four still on the ground. So I'm assuming that is why in this kit, being this four-wheel drive trail slash climber, they want this to have the softest oil possible. So anyways, I will set this up and I will show you how to put the oil in. So for parts, this is what we're needing. We need the caps and we need the oil seals for the step. So for this step, we're going to grab one of our shock cylinders and we'll grab one of our bottles of oil. So we need to fill this up, and one of the things to make sure, just make sure that the piston is all the way down to the end so that we can fill this completely. So we're going to fill this all the way. Pretty much right to the top. That's pretty close right there. So the goal with this step is you want to move the piston up and down slowly to remove all of the air bubbles. You see how they're coming out from underneath? So you want to move this up and down slowly, removing everything you can. Now the bubbles are going to sit on the top, but what you'll see is that underneath, as the piston goes up and down, you'll see more air bubbles come from underneath the piston top. And once that's all cleared, then the air has been cleared from underneath. So I'm just going to slowly do this a little more and watch to see if there's any other air escaping the underside of the head of the piston. But for the most part, we can see that all of the air bubbles are showing up at the very top now. Well, now they've popped completely, which is great. It's kind of what you want. So the more I do this, the more the air is pushed out at the top, and then you're left with that clear oil. Now I went too far up and ended up creating more air bubbles, so I'm not going to do that this time. But you can see that there are no more air bubbles coming from underneath the head of that piston. So at this point, I would say we are ready to go. So they're showing you that we're going to need to use our oil seal, put it on top, and you're going to notice the oil is just going to go everywhere. You see it starts to run down all the sides. So I'm just going to grab my paper towel, do a bit of a cleanup, and then I'm going to grab the end cap and spin this on. There we go. So there is one of our shocks. And you can see, like, I'm going to run this a little bit just to see, get a feel for it. And you can see that it's wanting to push out again, and that's kind of like what the oil, it kind of creates its own oil pressure. So it's wanting to push out. Very cool. So that is how you fill an oil-filled shock. Now, just to save time, I already did the other 3. So all 4 of our shocks are ready to go. Now, the one thing to make note of, if you remember when I was showing you this before, the kit comes with 2 bottles of this oil. Well, I already used up the entire first bottle. So this one here, you're going to use some of it, but the point is you needed 2 bottles. The cylinders themselves are quite large, so it requires more oil than some other kits that I've built where you only needed the 1 bottle. But anyway, step 34 is complete, so we can move on to step 35 and attach the front dampers.